for another episode of What's in the Bag. So if you watched my last video, and sorry it was kind of rushed, I get a lot of questions from people I ride with and when I've traveled across the country about all the gear and equipment that I carry in my bags. And so I finally figured, since it's May 1st and it is still cruddy out and it's cold, I might as well dive in and show you what I typically carry. And some of this stuff I edit as the season goes, since we have pretty drastic temperature changes here, but there are some things that I just always carry when I'm on the bike. So we'll dive into what is typically my mechanical bag, or where I carry all of my other equipment. So for this bag, and you won't be able to see it here, but on this bag, actually here, we'll show you real quick. There you go. See that little red cross? That guy there, let's see if I can get that to work. Not the coolest decal, okay? I'll admit that. And some of you are probably gonna think I'm a safety freak and I'm afraid to ride. And that is farther from the truth. In my opinion, there's nothing better than being a prepared rider. So both mentally, physically, making sure your bike is in good shape. A lot of this, I know I don't need to preach to all of you. You're watching and obviously you want to learn about this stuff. But I think the most important thing that comes across for me as I've grown as a woman rider in particular is, there's plenty of naysayers out there that say, you should know how to do mechanical stuff to your bike. What if it breaks down? What if you have a spill or whatever? And I think knowledge is important, but I think probably the most important part of riding is being a skilled rider. So first and foremost, if you're a skilled rider, that's going to be, I think, 90% of your worries when it comes to the bike and riding in general. So I carry a lot of other equipment and tools and things like that with me for a couple of reasons. One, kind of superstition. If something happens, if I carry all this stuff, I figure I'm never going to need it, right? If I'm prepared and I've got training and things and I know how to do basic stuff, that's great. Otherwise, what I think is really important too is if I carry the right tools for my specific motorcycle. I have both a metric bike in my Triumph and of course our standard in the Harley. So I carry different tools depending on which bike I'm on. But I also figure if I break down or I have something wrong with my motorcycle and say I'm out in the middle of Montana or whatever it is, and I don't know how to fix it, but I have some tools, hopefully I can either flag somebody down who maybe can help or get help, and I stand a better chance of being able to get back on my way, either cobble something together. But if I have nothing, then I am truly stranded. So that's kind of my mentality. So we'll dive into this bag here. I'm gonna go over a couple of things, and then I'm actually gonna do one other video specifically on the medical gear that I carry. I've taken a bunch of classes this season. I took a road guard class, which depending on what state you're in, they may or may not recognize road guards. I'll show you this here real quick. So if you look at that guy, road guard, field guide. Minnesota really worked hard to pass some legislation to help approve road guarding. So basically those are people who can legally stop traffic on a group ride. Minnesota, it's 20 or more motorcycles, and you do have to have a stop sign and a slow down sign, much like in a construction zone. So that's really important and was a really great piece of legislation. I took it more for my own knowledge. I really don't want to have to road guard if I don't ever need to, but I figure if there's ever a case where, say, we've got a big group, they need some safe crossing of traffic, whatnot, then I'm going to know what to do and can legally do it if I need to. So that guy. Couple of things. All right. So I should also mention that I am a long distance sponsored rider for Moon Motorsports. And Moon Motorsports is a great local motorcycle shop, motorcycle dealer here in Minneapolis, St. Paul. They're actually in Monticello, Minnesota, just kind of northwest of the Twin Cities a little bit. And it's pretty common probably in most areas to hear of like flat track racers and all sorts of other racing in motorcycles to have sponsors. but Moon has really struck out to encompass all of the ridership community, whether you're an artist or that you're a adventure rider, because their shop covers all segments of riding. So I'm really honored to, for the second season in a row, be their long distance sponsor. And so a couple things I want to show you. This, again, if there's one or two, maybe a couple of things that you carry on your bike at all times, like I talked about in my previous video with gear, if there's just a couple of things that you carry, this little compact toolkit kind of covers the essentials. So you can get this at Moon Motorsports, and they would be happy to talk to you about that. I can't remember how much this runs, $50 maybe? I may be wrong. But check it out, get a little toolkit. I'll give you a real quick tour of what's in it. If I don't spill it all over. Okay, so kind of just a quick general glance. You've got some adjustable wrenches. I'm guessing the 10 millimeter wrench, you probably need 2 or 3 or 4 of those in there because they always go missing. But just a good overall general toolkit that can get you by if you've got limited space. I carry kind of a slew of just random tools that I have found I've needed on various bikes when I've worked on them. So I will get to that in a second. This guy, there's a lot of stuff in this bag. This first aid kit, and again, I am not a scaredy cat rider, but I just feel like I should be prepared. I tend to be kind of the mother hen of the group when I'm out on rides. I tend to lead a lot of rides myself. I'm gonna do a whole separate video on what is in this first aid kit, but just kind of a quick snippet. There's a lot of things that I carry in here that are just everyday essentials for scrapes, insect bites, walking around in the rain at an event, basic band-aids, that kind of thing. And I've had to use all of them, not on myself, but often with other people I'm riding with, just to keep us all comfortable and keep us moving and focused on the road and the journey. So I'll do a separate video just on this guy as far as what's in this. And part of the reason I want to do a little bit of a separate video is I don't want to do a training because I'm not a certified trainer on any of this, and I'm not a medical professional by any means. But I took an accident scene management class for bystanders, and partway through the class, I will admit, I was like, I don't want to ride anymore. This is dangerous. It's scary. And all the stuff they're teaching you about and how to stop bleeding and all of those kinds of things. But it's one of those classes that by the end, I was like, beyond the basic rider's course, I feel like if you're going to seriously ride for any amount of time, that's a class you should take. So if there's a class that you take beyond, like road guarding or just improving your basic rider skills, I take an intermediate or advanced class every season, learn something new every time, and take an accident scene management class. It's really eye-opening, and you could save your life or someone else's just with some basic knowledge. So we'll talk about that in the next video. All right. Little socket set. I actually carried this little compact socket set. I've had to use it a number of times on the road when things have jiggled loose or whatever it is. It's really, really handy to have if you've got the room to have it. Obviously, good old kickstand plates. Those always come in handy. I typically carry a couple of pair of clears. This guy has some little foam padding in there, and even though I always wear a helmet, inevitably this one's still got the clear on it. It's brand new, but I usually ride with a mirrored or smoked visor, and inevitably I get caught riding at night and forget about it. And obviously if you've ever done that, basically you're feeling your way home, and that's not cool on a motorcycle. So I carry a couple of these, and I wear these foamy ones underneath sometimes when it's cold like this. I was out riding the other day when it was 25 degrees, and this just kept my eyes from watering. So just a couple pair of clears to be safe there. I don't have it in this bag. I need to find my lock. Okay, this thing here, it sounds silly. This is just a good old bicycle lock, and then I carry a little keyed padlock that I keep the key on my key ring. This thing is the best ever. Every time I've pulled this out when I've been at Sturgis or whatever, not that I'm paranoid that somebody's going to steal my stuff, but last thing I want is to come back and have a couple $100 helmet and my favorite leather jacket missing. So you can string this through the sleeve of your leather jacket. If you have a modular helmet, you can string it through the chin, and then I'll often string it to like my sissy bar, or if you've got the right type of handlebars. I've got drag bars on my other bikes, so I've got a loop I can put it through there. Loop those through, put the lock on it. It's just a little bit of a security measure to ensure that your favorite things aren't going to go walking off. Obviously, if somebody wants those bad enough, they're going to find a way to get them, just like your bike. So speaking of a disc lock, so again, if somebody wants your bike bad enough, couple strong people, 2, 3, 4 strong men, they're gonna lift it up, walk off with it. It's just the nature of riding. But I figured the more I can do to deter somebody from doing that, the better. So I've got this disc lock that goes through my front disc brake, and hopefully I said that right? Disc, yeah. Just gives me, again, a little more peace of mind when I'm traveling. So I typically only carry that when I'm taking a long distance trip. What else is in here? Snacks. So I've got peanuts in here, good quick protein snack in there. I usually carry some little fruit strips, that sort of thing as well, just keep my blood sugar up as well. But obviously if you're allergic to peanuts, don't carry peanuts. But snacks are always important as well. Okay, so this thing weighs, I haven't weighed it. I would be curious to see how much it weighs. This is my little cobbled together makeshift tool bag, and you'd be surprised how many times I have had things in this bag that, again, this on its own is like a Mary Poppins bag. I carry wrenches and screwdrivers and spare parts. Anything I've ever modified on my bike, if there's extra screws or bolts or whatever it is, they go in here in this little bag. I have on occasion had something come loose, disappear while we were riding, and had to makeshift something together. I actually carry an extra shift lever. I dropped my Triumph twice over 2 different seasons on the same side. Once the shift lever was bent so far in, I had to turn my foot 90 degrees just to shift. So I figure, again, if I carry one of these, I'm never going to drop it again, at least not on that side. I need to put new batteries in this guy. So that's one thing I always suggest is if you are in a state or a climate where stuff sits for a long period of time, just kind of do a good inventory of what it is you carry. I tend to take everything out of my bike in the winter and put it in a big storage tote so that I know where it all is when I get back to it in the spring. Otherwise it tends to scatter everywhere all over the house and I never find all of my stuff again. I wish I could show this to you, but carry a little flashlight with you. Better yet, if you can carry one that has a strobe mode, those can come in handy also in emergency situations if you need them. But if you're broke down in the evening, side of the road, you drop a screw down into no man's land into your motorcycle, maybe you can stand a chance of finding it. This also has a little magnetic end on it if you can't quite reach something and need to get down to it. Things like a good pocket knife, a little Swiss Army knife, you never know what you're gonna need to do with that. But yeah, just all sorts of random stuff that I've cobbled together over the years in here. Here's one that actually has come in really handy a couple of times. Various bikes obviously are various qualities and fit together differently, but I have a little bit of pipe fitter tape and this has actually come in handy. I had a friend whose mirror the threads kept unthreading, and no matter how tight we tightened the bolts and the nuts, it just would not stay, and they'd come loose and they'd wing around. And so I got a little bit of this out, we put it on the threads, tightened it up, done, good to go. So this and a little bit of black electrical tape, that's also probably the best thing you can carry. All right, so that's my little cobbled together toolkit. So got that guy. Oh, here's my little fruit strippies. Bug slide. This stuff is great for getting the crud off your bike if you've been rid all day and you don't want to let the baked on bugs just sit all night, but you don't necessarily have a car wash, anything like that. You can spray this on your helmet as well to help get rid of that stuff. I carry a compact funnel in the event, again, I'm on the road and I need to add some oil or something like that. Sunscreen. I've got extra earplugs. My husband, he carries nothing on his bike. He doesn't need to, obviously, because I have it all. But that is really important as well. You're hearing. I will say over the last probably 8 years I've been riding, especially this last 2 seasons, I have found that my hearing has steeply declined. So I actually use Loop earplugs, L-O-O-P, and they actually fit flat down into your ear. And I have, I guess, baby ear canals. More information than you want to know. So earplugs always end up hurting my ears, and these are the only earplugs I have found that don't hurt my ears. And when I take my helmet off, they don't go flinging out into Never Never Land. Here's that little bit of black electrical tape. Zip ties. Carry some zip ties. I carry that along with Gorilla Tape because if, say, you have a little spill, tip over, something bends, breaks, whatever it is, these 2 things alone can often save your journey. You can at least wrap some stuff up, cobble some stuff together until you can get to a place where you can actually really get it fixed. So zip ties and Gorilla Tape. Here's kind of a funny one for you. There are a lot of evening dinner rides where I am, and in the summer we try to make the most of every single day because we just don't have a whole lot of time to ride. So I carry a whole bunch of extra Ziploc bags of different sizes, and this might sound like a cheapskate thing to do, but it's come in really handy because obviously if you're at a restaurant and you've got leftovers, don't eat everything, you want to take some stuff home, styrofoam containers don't typically work real well in your saddlebags and kind of make a mess. If you carry some extra Ziploc bags, you can just dump your clean ones, obviously, dump your extra food into those, and off you go. So, you got that. All right, what else we got in here? Okay. Really, this is the never-ending bag. I carry so much stuff. So the one tool that I have probably used the most of everything I carry is just a good old-fashioned pair of scissors. For some reason, there's always somebody that's got an itchy tag. I need to cut something off of a zip tie. We need to open something, whatever it is. This has come in so handy so many times. Really good pressure gauge. I am one that I never trust. If I'm at a gas station filling up my tires, I just don't trust that their little gauges are accurate. I have had a couple instances where they've been really, really overfilled, and that was really scary. So I don't trust those. I have this flexible one because obviously on a lot of bikes, it can be really difficult, especially like with these hard bags and that. These come off pretty easily, but I don't want to have to take them off if I don't need to. To get to the little fill stems, it can be really difficult sometimes to get those just longer ones that are stiff in there. So if you've got a flexible one like this, these come in really handy as well. All right, we're almost done with this bag. All right. So I carry this little MicroStart tire inflator kit, and I keep everything in a baggie here because it comes with all of these adapters for like a cigarette lighter. I would suggest also, if there's also something that you ever do to your bike, is have one of those trickle charger adapters installed, hooked up to your battery, because there's a lot of components that you can find in the motorcycle industry, like heated suits and these little air compressors that will connect directly to that. So I was on a road trip. We were, I think, headed to Hannibal, Missouri, came back through Iowa, and one of the guys got a flat front tire. So I think there were probably maybe 15 or 20 of us on that trip, and we're in the middle of nowhere, Iowa. And somebody whipped one of these out. They're not real fast, but they will get the job done. So, little tire inflator kit. And with tire inflator kits, you should also carry this. You can get at Moon Motorsports as well. Is just a tire plug kit. Obviously, you want to know what type of tires you're running on your motorcycle. We all know there's tubeless and tubed tires. For our purposes, typically the baggers are going to run on tubeless tires. So learn how to use these as well. I would recommend also, excuse me, If you're going to carry these things, take a few minutes to watch some YouTube videos, because last thing you want is to actually get a flat tire. You want to know how to use the equipment you have, and the worst time to try and figure out how to use some of this stuff is when it's actually happened. So watch some YouTube videos on how to use these things. All right, still going. This thing. So I carry this everywhere. This is a jump starter kit. And there's a couple of reasons I like to carry this. This particular one, this XP1, is a great universal jump starter kit. The other thing I would recommend is look up YouTube videos on how to jumpstart your specific motorcycle. How I jumpstart my Triumph is very different than how I would jumpstart my Harley. You actually have to ground to a different point on the Harley than you do on the Triumph. Had I not known that, it is possible for you on some of these newer bikes with all of these computer systems to fry the computer system if you don't do it right. My Triumph has none of that stuff. It's a super low tech bike, so makes life a little easier sometimes that way. But this guy here, I'll just show you really quick, has this big battery pack. I typically every spring pull this out and recharge it if I haven't used it for anything previously. But it's also got, so you have to get 4 little lights on here in order for it to jump. It actually can jumpstart, I'm told, a regular car. So you can't typically do big trucks and things like that. But this also comes equipped with a flashlight and a strobe emergency light in it. So it's kind of a great all-in-one. It's got some USB ports in it, and it does come with an adapter that has multiple different charging, what do we call them? Like for Androids and iPhones and all of the USB-C charger and all of those sorts of things. So it's kind of a great all-in-one kit. So would definitely recommend this as well. This is one you definitely want to look up some YouTube videos on how to use it. I thankfully have never had to use it for myself. I have had to use it for a couple of other people. So, all right, so we've got this guy, we're almost done. I also carry my owner's manual for my bike. Obviously, the more technical our bikes get with all of these anti-theft systems and traction control and all of those sorts of things, I'm not going to remember all of those details when something happens or if I need to figure out how to fix it or what's going on. I know with some of the newer Harleys, they have the anti-tip, so if you tip them over, you can't restart them until you do a certain process and that kind of thing. So I carry this to remember how to do that stuff if you've got room for it. And finally, a couple of good microfiber cloths. These obviously come in great handy for a lot of different reasons. One, wiping your seat off in the morning if it's had dew on it and you're staying overnight somewhere, cleaning off your helmet, just some of that bug slide, squirting it on the front of your bike or wherever you may have gotten 1,000 grasshoppers going through Wyoming or whatever it is. And then finally, water. Carry some water with you. I always carry some water for a couple of reasons. One, obviously just to stay hydrated, but I try to always carry just some spare water to have in the event I need to use my first aid kit. I do carry some electrolyte mix in there as well in case somebody's got some heat stroke or really just not feeling so hot and we need to get some electrolytes in them and get them back out moving again. So that is what I've got. Is that enough stuff? Again, I know the majority of this stuff is not feasible, and quite frankly, it doesn't leave any extra room in my saddlebags to carry anything else. That's part of the reason in the other video I carry all those bungee cords and bungee nets, because I often have to use my passenger seat or my luggage rack to carry all the extra stuff. But if there's a couple of things you're going to carry that little toolkit. If you're just in town, not really doing a big ride out anywhere, you're pretty close to town, you may not have to carry, a jumper or a tire kit, those sorts of things, if you've got easy access to that. Though I will say, even being close to town, sometimes getting a tow can still take hours. So a little toolkit, a little tire kit, and if you can, an air compressor, and the right the right connectors on your bike are worth carrying. Water, what else? I think those are probably the main things I would suggest you carry if there's anything that you carry with you. So I appreciate you watching, and I know this rambled on for a while, but if you found any of this information useful, don't forget to hit like and subscribe, and we'll see you for the What's in My Medical Bag video next.